Hi everyone, Donna Log Cabin Stitcher here, and I wanted to show you this little baby blanket that I made. It's very quick and easy to do, and this is a good one for if you just have one skein of like a little baby cake or a sweet roll and you're not sure what to do with it. You just add it to some other colors and you make a little blanket. So what I did with this one, I used Karen baby cakes, and I used one skein of this Dreamy Mint, and that is like this area right in here. And then I had another skein of the Karen baby cakes, and this color is Dreamy Rose, and it is this area like right in here. And as you can see, these cakes are very similar. They have like dark gray, light gray, this off-white color. The only difference, this one had the rose, and then this one had the mint. So from my stash, I just pulled out scraps. So I pulled out this off-white color and this rose color to match the rose. And then I pulled out kind of this turquoisey color that matches this color. So it is a good one to use up scraps, but still kind of be color coordinated. So I have this one, this sweet roll, and it's like pinks and grays. And then I have this sweet roll. It's like purples and grays and whites. So see, they're very similar, but this one has pink, this one has purple. So you could certainly pull pinks, grays, off-whites, purples from your stash to make this blanket. And there is, I think, 245 yards on this skein, on each skein. One looks bigger than the other, but they are the same. And they are both number 4 weight yarn. So you want to keep all your yarns the same. You want to keep them all number 4 weight. So this one, these two I just happen to have. This is Karen Jumbo. And these colors here. See, doesn't that match good? Purple, gray, pinks. And this one has, it has quite a bit of yardage on it. I can't remember, but it'll be enough to do, this will be one half of the blanket. This will be the other half, and then there's enough here to do the border too. So that will be that one. And I will show you how I do that as I go along. And then I happen to have 2 skeins of this Burnett Pop. And I think it is called, Snow Queen. So I have 2 skeins of this one. Sorry, the doorbell rang. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull colors from here. So I have like this pink color, and I have this off-white color, which happens to be Red Heart. I think it's called Soft White. I have this purple color, which is also Red Heart. And I have this turquoisey color. I do not know, it doesn't have a brand name or anything. I don't know where that is from, and I think that's it. But see how these all kind of coordinate together. So I will start with these, and I will show you how I do this as I go along. So let's get to crocheting. Okay, so I'm starting with my Burnett Pop, and I'm going to start from the middle of my cake, And the color again I am using is called Snow Queen. And the hook I am using is a J hook. So I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. And what we're going to be doing is the corner to corner. So a lot of people start their corner to corner with the chain 6, but I am going to do a chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in the third chain from the hook, so there is 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a double crochet. And in the next chain, I'm going to do a double crochet. And in that last chain, I'm going to do a double crochet. So you will have 3 double crochets and then your chain 2 space. And I'll show you why I do only a chain 2 at the beginning here in a little bit. Okay, so to keep going for corner to corner, you're going to chain 5. And again, in that third chain from the hook, you're going to do a double crochet. And in the next chain, a double crochet. And then in the next chain, a double crochet. Okay, and so then you're going to flip this up. So your little chain 2 is on the top. And in that chain 2 space, you're going to do a slip stitch. And then I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to put 3 double crochets right into that chain 2 space. Okay, so we have 2 rows done. So I'm just going to keep repeating this. I'm going to chain 5. And then the 1 to the third chain from the hook, I'm going to do a double crochet. And the next chain, a double crochet. And the next chain, a double crochet. And then you're going to flip this up so that chain 2 is on top. And slip stitch into that chain 2, and then chain 2, and then do 3 more double crochets in that chain 2 space. Okay, and then you're going to slip stitch. There's your next chain 2 space. You're going to slip stitch in there. And chain 2 and 3 double crochets in that chain 2 space. Okay, so now we have our third row done, and it has 3 blocks. So whatever row you're on, you're going to have, second row has 2 blocks, third row has 3 blocks, fourth row has 4 blocks, etc. So you're just going to keep repeating this over and over. So chain 5, and the third chain from the hook, double crochet, and in the next chain double crochet, and in the next chain double crochet. And flip this up. So your chain 2's on top. slip stitch in there, chain 2, and do your 3 double crochets. And this is just your basic corner to corner blanket. It's easy to do. You don't have to follow a pattern or anything. You can just work on it in the car while you're watching TV, and you can just keep going and going. And with these cake yarns, you don't have to worry about changing colors. It'll change the color for you. So I'm in that last block. I like doing corner to corner. Like I said, it just goes so quickly. We have a little blanket in no time. Okay, so I have 4 rows, my 4th row done. There's 4 blocks. And this is why I do only a chain 2 on the ends, because you don't have this big gaping hole. It's not quite so big when you have when you do a chain 3, then it's a little bigger, and I want it more condensed and closer together. I don't want a lot of holes. So just keep going, keep doing your corner to corner. Go ahead and use this whole cake, and when you get done with that, I will meet you back here and show you what I do next. Okay, so I got 1 cake for each of the blankets done, and this is the sweet roll one, and you can see how the rows, as you get bigger and bigger, the rows are going to get narrower as you go along. But as I finish this cake, there's only like 1 row of gray here. So I looked at the next ball, and the middle of it is pink, but after I started digging down in there a little bit, I'm like, oh, there is some gray in there. So I am just gonna keep going with this gray, start in the middle of this ball and keep going on that one. And then on this one's a little bigger because it has more yardage on it. This was the Burnett Pop one. And you can kind of see the color sequence. It's purple, or pink, purple, light blue, darker blue, white, and then it starts with the pink again. So if I look at my next ball, if I start in the middle, it would be blue. But I kind of want to follow the sequence here. So I am going to do a little more pink. So I am going to pull out like this whole section in the middle and probably cut it out, and then start with my pink, purple, light blue, so it'll follow the color sequence. And then when I end with this blue, then I'll go back and add this on, and then finish out this skein, or this ball, or cake. So that is my plan right now. I'm just going to finish off this cake for this one and the other cake for the other one, and then I'll meet you back when I get that done. Okay, so I finished my blanket using my sweet rolls. I had 2 sweet rolls, the Premier Sweet Rolls, and one of them was called Pansy Pop, and the other one was called Bubble Pop, and the Pansy Pop was more the purple colors, and the Bubble Pop was the pinks. And then I had, and each of those had 245 yards on them, so total of about 490 yards. And then I had this huge skein, Karen Jumbo yarn, and it has 595 yards. So a little bit more than the 2 cakes. So that would give me enough to do the second half and then the border. And I'll show you how I'll do the border in a little bit. But once I finish my 2 cakes, then I just started decreasing, and I just went down until, of course, I finished the corner. So on that one, I'm ready to start the border. Let me show you the first one I did again. This one was with 2 cakes, and these were Karen baby cakes, and they had 231 yards each. So that is this side, and then one of them had the green color, one had the pink color, and then I pulled some colors from my stash, and I kind of figured out I wanted it to be, you know, a certain number of rows for each color. So I did a little calculation, and I'll show you how I did that in a minute. So this is the other one I'm working on. So I finished my 2 cakes. I had 2 cakes of the Burnett Pop, 2 of those, and the colorway is Snow Queen, and each of these have, I'm looking for the yardage, about 280 yards on each skein. So this is how big I made it. I have just a little bit of yarn left, not enough to do another row, so I'm going to stop there. So now I'm going to start decreasing, and the colors I picked from my stash that match are this aqua, this purple, this pink, and I have a white color. And I have these scraps too. So what you could do, you could just, you know, like start with this one and keep going. And I'm going to start decreasing. So you could start with this one and, you know, keep going until you use up that ball, and then maybe use your purple and then your white, and just keep going until you use up your scraps. But I am going to calculate on this one a little bit, do a little bit of math, and it's not hard math. But I am going to do a little figuring so I have an even number of rows for each color, kind of like I did on my previous Afghan. So I will show you how I'm going to calculate that. Okay, so first thing you want to do is count your number of rows, and you can easily see them. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4. So you just want to count 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, etc. and count how many rows that you did. On this little blanket, I ended up with 50 rows. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start decreasing with my scrappy colors. So how I'm going to calculate that is I have 50 rows. So right away you're going to subtract 1 because I'm going to start decreasing. So I will have 49 rows on the other half of the Afghan. So then you want to do a little math, and it just so happens 7 times 7 equals 49. If you have a really odd number, you know, if you end up with like 51 or something, then just kind of round it off to 50. So, you know, like 10 times 5 is 50, or, you know, 6 times 8 is 48. So just get somewhere in that range. And then what you can do, well, let me show you what I'm going to do here first. So I have 4 colors, purple, pink, white, and aqua, which my color's right here. And I am going to do 7 different colors, 7 rows of each color. Now I only have 4 colors, so I wrote down 7 because I'm going to do 7 different color sequences. And I have a lot of the aqua, so I'm going to start with the aqua. So I'm going to do 7 rows of aqua, and then 7 rows of white, which I have a lot of white, and I know I have more white in my stash. So if for some reason I don't have enough, I can get more from my stash. And then I'm going to do pink, because I have quite a bit of pink. I should be able to get 7 rows out of that. And you know, and as we decrease, your rows are going to get shorter and shorter. And then I'm going to do white again, and then I'm going to do purple, the purple here. And I don't have a lot of purple, so I figured by the time I get to this decreasing size, I should have enough purple. And then I'm going to do white again, and then I'm going to end in my aqua. And you want to end in the color that you're going to do your border in. Now you don't have to, but I'm kind of going to figure it that way. Then I'm going to end in aqua, and that's when I'm going to do my border in, because I have plenty of aqua. Now like I said, if you end up with a really odd number, like 51 or something, and so say you do 6 times 8 is 48. So say you're going to do 8 rows of 6 different colors, or 6 different color sequence. So that would leave you 3 odd rows. So what you can do is just, when you get to the end of your blanket, when you're decreasing, I would just add a couple more rows to that last decrease, because these rows are so short anyway. So I would do 11 rows of that very last sequence. So that is all there is to it. I will kind of take you through as I'm working through these colors and show you how it goes, and then I will show you how to do the border. Oh, and I just wanted to mention again that these are all number 4 weight yarns. So if you're using like a number 3 mandala or something, make sure you use a number 3 of your scrappy yarns to go, so all your weights match. This pink one, it is a Caron Simply Soft, and it is considered a number 4 weight, but I know Caron Simply Soft runs just a little bit smaller 4 weight yarn, but it'll still work fine. So let's get crocheting. Okay, so this is where I ended with my second cake of yarn, and I had this much yarn left. I knew that wasn't enough to do another row, so I ended off. So that will go in my little scrap bag. Okay, so now I'm going to start with my aqua yarn, and what you would normally do here is turn if your yarn was still attached, and then you chain 5, and then you'd keep going. But we're going to start decreasing. And there's a lot of videos out there how to do corner to corner, so I'm not going to cover this real in detail, but anyway. So this is like my back side now of this row, and right there is our little chain 2. So I'm going to join my yarn right there, and I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to do 3 double crochets in that chain 2. That'll make my first block. Okay, so then now you just kind of continue like you normally do. Here's your next chain 2, so you slip stitch, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets in that chain 2. And see how it's starting to, it's going to be straight here now. So just keep going along this edge, and I will come back when I get towards the end of that row. Okay, so I'm getting towards the end of this row. So what you would do normally is slip stitch right here, and then you would chain 2, and then do 3 double crochets to keep increasing. But we are not going to increase anymore. So we are going to slip stitch in that last chain 2, and then we're going to turn. And this is what you're going to do at the end of every row. So we're going to turn, and then I'm just going to slip stitch in the top of these double crochets. Working my way back to this chain 2 space. So I'm going to slip stitch in my chain 2 space, and then this is where you would keep going again, chain 2, do your 3 double crochets in your chain 2 space. And then here's your next chain 2, so you would slip stitch, chain 2, do your 3 double crochets. See, and now we are making this edge straight. So like I said, that's what you would do at the end of every row. So I'm starting my second row of the aqua color, and I'm going to do 7 rows of this color, and then I'm going to switch colors. So I'll be back when I do that. Okay, so I finished my 7 rows of my aqua color, and when I say rows, I didn't really explain it very well last time, but it's like each block is a row. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm doing 7 rows of each color, and right here is where I ended. So we're going to join just like we did when we joined the aqua. So I'm going to turn my work. Here's my last block. I'm making a straight edge here, so here's my last block. So right here in this chain 2, next color I'm doing is white. So I'm going to slip stitch into that chain 2. I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets. Okay, and then you're going to go to the next one, slip stitch, chain 2, and do your 3 double crochets, and then you're just going to keep going. See, and it's making our edge nice and straight here. So now I'm going to do 7 rows of the white color. Okay, so I got the corner to corner part done. Up here, this is where the 2 cakes are that I finished off, like right here where this pink is. And then I started in with my other colors, so I did 7 rows of aqua, 7 rows of, it's called soft white, and then the pink, and then the soft white, then the purple, then the soft white, and then I ended with this turquoise color, and then this is going to be my border, so that's why I did that one very last. And this is how much yarn I had left. This is the amount from my cakes, and this is from the pink yarn that I used. This is from the purple yarn, and I pulled out a skein of this soft white. I had white pulled out, but this soft white seemed to match better. It's not like a pure white, it's just a little bit of an off-white. So anyway, that is what it looks like right now, and I will show you how I'm going to do the border. Okay, so here's my last block, the last row, my last block. So I ended right here. It's where I joined. So I want to get over here to this space right here. So I'm just going to slip stitch somewhere in here. And then I'm going to slip stitch in that space. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do a single crochet right back into that same space. So that chain 1 doesn't count as anything. There's our single crochet. Then you want to chain 2, and then find your next space and do a single crochet, and then chain 2, find your next space and do a single crochet. Now if you feel like these are puckering up too much, we want little loops there because we're going to do some stitches in them on the next round. But if you feel like that's too tight, then you can chain 3 if you want, chain 3, and then find your next one and do a single crochet. But I am going to stick with chaining 2. Find that next space, single crochet, Okay, so you just want to do that all the way along this edge right here. Okay, so I'm down to my next corner, and I would recommend you weave in all your ends before you do this, so I'm going to stop and do that in a minute. But when you get to your next corner, chain 2, and then in that last top of that last stitch there, do a single crochet, and then chain 2, and then in that same stitch do another single crochet, and then chain 2, and then find your next hole and do your single crochet. That'll make a little corner right there. So there's a loop here, here's your corner, and then we'll start down this side again and just do this all the way around with that little extra chain 2 single crochets in the corner. So just do this all the way around your blanket, and I'll meet you back when we get that done. Okay, so I'm back around to the beginning. This is where I slip stitch across to get to that first space. So I chain 2. Now I'm just gonna slip stitch in that first single crochet that we made in that space. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the border I'm going to do. This one I'm going to do for a boy border. I don't want to make it too frilly, so I'm going to slip stitch in that first space. I'm going to chain 2, that's my first double crochet. Then I'm going to do 2 more double crochets in that same space. I'm just going to make a simple border, like I said, for a little boy, and then the other blanket I have, I'll show you how I'm going to do one for a little girl. Okay, so here's our 3 double crochets, so I am just going to skip to the next space, and I'm going to do 3 more double crochets, and then just jump to the next space and do 3 more double crochets. And I'm just going to do that all the way across to the corner. And I'm just kind of mimicking the blocks in the middle. So it'll just look like that. Now you can adjust this if you want. If you're a loose crocheter or a tight crocheter, you could put a chain space in between these blocks to kind of spread it out a little more if you feel like it's puckering. You could do just 2 double crochets and a chain space. So just kind of do what works for you so your border is not puckering, and then you also don't want it, if you get too many stitches, then it gets kind of wavy. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do all the way to the corner. So I'm coming up to the corner space, so I'm going to do my 3 double crochets in that last space before the corner. Okay, so here's my corner space where we did a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So in that corner I am going to do 3 double crochets. Then I'm going to do chain 1, and I'm going to turn, and in that same space, that same corner space, I'm going to do 3 more double crochets. Okay, and then I'm going to jump to my next space and do 3 double crochets. And then jump to my next space and do 3 double crochets, just like we did along that other side. now it makes a nice little corner edge on your blanket. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to do 3 double crochets in each space along the sides, and then in the corners I'm going to do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. Okay, so here's my last corner, and then I did 3 double crochets in those spaces. So I'm back to where I started. So I am going to slip stitch in the top of that chain 2, and then I already cut my yarn, so I am just gonna fasten off. And there it is. Nice simple little border, not too frilly, so if you need one for a little boy blanket, there it is. So now I will show you the other little blanket I was working on, and I will do a different border. So here's the other blanket I was working on, and I did the same thing. I did single crochet, chain 2, single crochet all the way around. So now I'm going to start my shell border, and I'm going to do a little bit of planning here. Here is my corner stitch right there, and here's the first chain 2 space. So this one's going to be shell stitch, and this is going to be single crochet. This is going to be shell stitch. So this one right here is going to be a single crochet. So I'm going to slip stitch over, I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to single crochet in that space. Now my chain 1 doesn't count as anything, but there's my first single crochet. So now in this next chain space, I am going to do 5 double crochets. Okay, makes like a little shell. And then the next chain space, I'm going to do a single crochet. And then in the next chain space, I'm going to do 5 double crochets. And then the next chain space, I'm going to do a single crochet. So we're just doing a little shell border all the way down the side here. So just keep doing that all the way down. 5 double crochet, and then do a single crochet, and then 5 double crochet and a single crochet. Just do that all along the side. Okay, so I'm coming up to the corner. So I did my 5 double crochets. This one I'm going to do a single, and then here's my corner. Just kind of use your fingers to feel around and find your corner. And in my corner I am going to do 7 double crochets. 2, 3. Now you can do as many as you want. If you think 7 is too many, you can do 5, you can do 6. But I'm going to do 7. I think that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nope, 6, 7. And I'm going to go back to my single crochet. And the next one, I'm going to do 5 double crochets. So I'm just going to go back to my repeat, 5 single or double crochets, and then a single crochet, 5 double crochets, single crochet. I'm going to do that all the way along the side. Okay, so I'm coming up to my next corner, and I'm coming out nice and even. I was hoping I wouldn't, so I could show you what to do if you don't. So I would put a single crochet here and then my shell in my corner. But if you don't come out even, you might want to, like, here's your single crochet, and in this single crochet from the row below you might want to do your shell stitch and then do a single crochet here and just kind of make it work. You know, you don't have to do it in the chain spaces, just do it in the single crochets or however you can to make it work out. But mine is coming out nice and even. So I'm to the corner, so I'm going to do my 7 double crochets in my corner. And then after I do my 7 double crochets, then I would do a single crochet in the next space, and then 5 double crochets and then single. So you would just work around your border just like that all the way around. Okay, so I'm around to my last corner, did a single crochet, my 5 double crochets, and this is where I started. Here's my single crochet where I started. So I'm going to slip stitch to join, and then I will fasten off, weave in all my ends. But this is a little bit more frilly, maybe for a girl blanket. So there it is. I will show you all my blankets done once I get all the ends woven in. So I'll be back. Okay, so I want to show you my finished Afghans. The first one, probably my favorite. I used the Karen baby cakes. I had 1 cake of Dreamy Mint and 1 cake of Dreamy Rose. And then, let's see, those are 231 yards on each cake. So that's this part up here. And then the other part, I just pulled some scraps from my scrap pile. So that's the first one. The second one, I had 2 cakes of the Sweet Roll Premier, and one of them was, the color was Bubble Pop. The other one, the color was Pansy Pop. So that is this section right here. And then for the other half of the Afghan, I used a Karen Jumbo, and that has 595 yards, and that color is called Easter Basket. The Sweet Rolls have 245 yards on them. So that is the Sweet Rolls over here, and then the variegated yarn, and then I used the variegated yarn for the border. So that is that one. And this is how much yarn I had left of that jumbo cake. For the jumbo skein, it's not really a cake. And then the last one, very colorful, I like it. I had 2 skeins of the Burnett Pop in the colorway Snow Queen, and these skeins had 280 yards each. And then I pulled some colors from my scrap pile. So that one turned out very pretty. So what you could do if you have some Orphan cakes, I pulled some out. So these are kind of the brown, kind of the brownish colorway. And you could make certainly a bigger blanket with these, but you could, you know, you wouldn't have to go through the whole skein. You could maybe go through the browns in this one, and then maybe switch over to some of the purples and do that, and then maybe switch over to these browns and just kind of rotate your cakes and mix it up. And then for your border, maybe pull out a real pretty purple color for the border and your scraps, or maybe a dark brown. So that would be a pretty Afghan. And then I also have some mandala cakes. So I pulled out my blues, kind of purples. And these are number 3 weight yarn. So you want to make sure you use the same weight throughout the Afghan. And again, these two I think are the same color. So you could maybe work your way through part of the cake and then maybe pick up some purples and do some of those. And then maybe switch to some browns over here or golds. So just kind of mix it up, and I don't know, then maybe pull up a real pretty gray or something for the border. These have quite a few yards on them, 590 yards. So this would definitely make a nice size Afghan. So I used up some of my yarn skeins and cakes. These are some of the scraps I had left. That'll go into my number 4 scrap bag pile for another project another day. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and hopefully this will give you some ideas. And thanks again, and I will be back soon.